From childhood, we are told to follow a certain path, study hard, get good grades, land a good job, and climb the career ladder. But after reaching these goals, what comes next? How should you manage the money that you have worked hard to earn? It seems like there is a lack of financial guidance after the good job part. When payday arrives, there is a lot of confusion about where to allocate your money and in what order. Should you pay off debt, save, or invest? We are constantly afraid of making the wrong decisions. So, what is the best way to invest your money for the future? If you are new here, on this channel, we discuss everything related to personal finance and self-improvement. In this video, I'm going to share with you what I personally think is the most effective order to invest your money and secure your future. Creating a safety net is an absolute must before making any investments. It should be your top priority before putting your money in the stock market, real estate, or equipment for your new business. You need to save at least 1 month's worth of expenses and put it in a high-interest savings account that you can access easily without paying any fees. Mathematically, paying off your debt before saving for an emergency fund is financially optimal, but psychologically, having a small emergency fund brings peace of mind. It relieves you from a lot of extra stress and helps you tackle unexpected expenses without going into debt. Keep this emergency fund separate from your daily expenses and start with 1 month's expenses, which will cover most minor emergencies. Once you've done that, pay off your high-interest debt and then look into adding more to your emergency fund. Remember, creating a safety net is the first and foremost step towards financial stability and security. Next, paying off high-interest debt is a major concern for most adults, and it's high time we stopped normalizing it. Many of us make the mistake of buying expensive things we don't need just to impress people who don't even matter. But the most significant problem with debt is that it reduces your monthly income, limiting your savings potential, and overall financial freedom. That's why paying off debt should be your top priority. It's a tax-free, risk-free, and guaranteed return on your investment. By focusing on paying off high-interest debt, especially credit card debt, you can save a lot of money in interest charges and make a guaranteed return. To determine high-interest debt, I suggest using a threshold of 8% interest. Anything above that is costing you more than what you could potentially earn by investing in the stock market. Mortgages and other low-interest loans usually have much lower interest rates than credit card debt or overdraft charges. Therefore, you can keep making the minimum payments on those and concentrate on paying off high-interest debt. So, if you want to achieve financial freedom, pay off your high-interest debt as soon as possible and watch your savings grow. Number 3 on my list of order is something that many personal finance experts recommend doing as step 1, because it's free money. How can you say no to free money? But the reason why I don't think it makes sense to do this first is because it's something that you will benefit from in 20, 30, 40 years from now, and that doesn't matter if you can't get your finances in order today. So once you have done steps 1 and 2, then you want to take advantage of the match that your employer offers you for your retirement fund. This is called different things in different countries. In the UK, it's the pension contribution. In the US, it's the 401k. And what this means is that for every pound or dollar that you put into your retirement fund, your employer will also put the same amount. So if you're earning $100,000 and you put $4,000 of that into your workplace pension, your employer matches everything you put in. So you're basically doubling your money instantly. Remember, this is different from the maximum amount that you can put into your retirement fund. All you care about here is putting enough to get the full match, because otherwise you're just leaving free money on the table. And sadly, for these retirement matches that employers offer as a perk, you can't get them retroactively. So you can't get them now for previous years. So you want to do this every single year. You never want to miss out on this free money. Step number 4, have an additional fund. Imagine the kind of freedom and security you would have if you had 3 to 6 months of your living expenses in your bank account at all times, knowing that if anything happened, you lost your job, your business failed, then you would have something to fall back on, and that would be taken care of. This is when you want to have enough money saved up so that if anything goes wrong, you can rescue yourself and not depend on credit card debt to get you out of trouble. So you want to figure out what is the bare minimum you need to live on. So your fixed expenses, your variable expenses, your total expenses for the month. And then multiply that number by 3 to 6 months if you have a stable job, or 9 to 12 months if you work for yourself. This number is your emergency fund, and it's different from your safety net that we talked about in the first step. This is for the bigger financial shocks that we mentioned that have long-term consequences. Now, once you have that, this is where the fun begins, because you have laid the foundation for a truly free financial future. Now you get to invest and achieve some of your other financial goals. So the next step is to invest through a tax-advantaged account. The reason why you definitely want to do this is because it's one of the most tax-effective ways to grow your money. Most other investments are subject to some kind of tax. When you buy a share and make money from it, you usually have to pay capital gains tax. But when you invest through a tax-advantaged account, such as an ISA if you're in the UK, or a Roth IRA if you're in the US, you protect your profits from the tax authorities. So you want to use these accounts as much as you can, up to the limit if possible. Then we have paying off low-interest debt. This includes, for example, student loans in some cases, and sometimes car loans. From a financial perspective, this debt may not be hurting you as much, so you can decide whether you want to pay it off or use that money to invest instead. But my personal view is that unless this step is helping you make more money, if it's not doing that, then you should pay it off. So if you're using that money to invest rather than to pay it back, then it may make sense. But if you're not paying off your debt because you want to have more money to spend on things that you like, then I would reconsider that. When you think of debt as a normal part of life, it can quickly lead to a mindset of rationalization and using it to support a higher lifestyle than you can afford. Low-interest debt is something you want to avoid. You want to get into the habit of eliminating as much bad debt as you can from your life. Next, we have paying off your mortgage. And I would emphasize that it is totally optional, and it really depends on your financial situation. There are so many factors that you have to consider. How much equity do you have left? When does your fixed rate expire? How long do you have left? Personally, in my situation, I would not pay off my mortgage right away. Instead, I would choose to use that money to invest because mortgage rates are usually some of the cheapest debt you can get, and they have long-term agreements that have already been calculated to be paid over the full term. So, if you wait to pay off your mortgage before you start investing, you're really limiting your time in the investment market, which can take away from some of the benefits of compounding and long-term growth. And on top of that, making extra payments can save you money on interest in the long run for your mortgage, but not all mortgages are flexible. So before you make any extra payments, you want to check the terms and conditions of your mortgage and see if you can pay more than the minimum, or if there are any penalties for doing so. If your mortgage has restrictions on how much you can overpay, for example, 10% a year, then it might be smarter to invest that extra money instead. By doing this, you're growing a separate pool of money in your investments and increasing the value of your property at the same time, both of which will benefit your financial future. Of course, there are emotional benefits to paying off your mortgage and living without that debt. So ultimately, it depends on what matters more to you.